from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight will be partly cloudy and chilly with a low of 36. On Saturday, expect cool temperatures with intervals of clouds and sunshine reaching a high of 56. Saturday night will turn cloudy with a low of 45. Sunday will be mostly cloudy and breezy with a chance of a brief shower or two, reaching a high of 62. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
I love America. I love the Constitution. I love the First Amendment. I want to carry and all guns. I love property. And let me tell you something. If you care about your country, I'll read Ludwig von Mises and the 6 lessons of the Austrian Economic School, motherfuckers.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
Some have said I'm a little edgy this week because I'm back and I cannot smoke my cigars during the show. That may be something to do with it, but I personally think it is because I am staring at the destruction of my once great city, state. It's a fracking joke.
Our long-term goal is socialism, where the major parts of the economy are publicly owned and publicly and democratically controlled for the benefit of everyone in the...
You can't run a water department, you fracking moron, with your phony British accent whore. I know what you are. You're just a bunch of $2 whore communists.
It's May Day in Moscow, the biggest celebration in the Russian calendar. Marshal Zhukov, Soviet...
Doesn't matter that it didn't work. For a short period of time, a bunch of losers, a bunch of frauds and failures pretended to be kings. See, they're the real pro-kings party. My next guest knows this all too well. He has been fighting this since he was a kid. Director of Heartland's Emerging Issues Center. He also is the host of Heartland's In the Tank podcast. Stopping Socialism TV. The co-author of 4 of Glenn Beck's books, Arguing Against Socialists, The Great Reset, so many more. And by the way, each one of them fantastic. He is my friend Donald Kendal. How are you, handsome?
I'm doing wonderful. I can't take credit for being co-author, though. I'm just a contributor, but I did work on all of those books.
Oh, come on. We're communists now, comrade. Everybody did everything. You get to take the credit for everything as you steal their money.
That's right. Yeah, good point. Very good point. Yeah, I got to learn from some of these politicians that seem to be more outwardly, socialist. In their rhetoric and all of that stuff. It used to be something that they kind of had to hide. It was a dirty word. They had to kind of run away from that rhetoric a little bit. And then Bernie Sanders came out and just had to throw the word democratic in front of socialists, and that was all it took to kind of, whitewash that whole thing. But now it just feels like they're a little bit more emboldened to just be upfront with their socialist wants here.
The last 18 years, they stole $20 trillion. They might as well be. That $20 trillion out of the 30 that went directly to domestic fraud groups, NGOs, front organization, communist organizations, and this homeless scandal and scam that's gone on, they got away with it. And that was implemented by Barack Obama's administration, right? He was the perfect lipstick on the pig that is the communist agenda. And all of these policies now fund all these groups. So they don't need to go to men anymore. They don't need to go to individual donors. They have the government spending in the form of a policy that has been stolen in the name of green energy, has been stolen in the name of welfare benefits and entitlements that they brag about now. You heard I don't know if you heard the clip in Illinois about the 150,000 useless lambones that are going to get kicked off food stamps. But I want you just to give you the mindset of what you're dealing with. Just hear this for 1 second.
Thousands of people in Illinois, a lot of families are losing their SNAP benefits.
Yeah, that's because new federal rules now in place that require SNAP recipients to meet new work requirements, among other things. CBS News Chicago's Darius Johnson live at the Greater Chicago Food Depository this morning, where many people may now need to turn for some help. Good morning.
Help. You exist because of other people's charity through the form of government. And you know what's funny? When she says, and other things. Oh, you mean like citizen requirements? You mean like the fact that you should have at least been paying into something rather than getting here on a fracking burrow, creating havoc and murder and mayhem and rapes. And by the way, we got the drinks around the house. Get the hell out of here. I'm really amazed at how tolerant people have been. But the reason I say this is because this has not happened in Florida since I've been there for 6 years. They have never knowingly given food stamps or any benefits to illegal aliens. They fight tirelessly against it. And even the people who are on it, there has always been work requirements. That's the thing. They're run at state level, state rules. So good states run it tight. Democrat mafia states run it loose. Isn't that how it really works?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. The looser it is, the more that it could be used to slant the tables in one political direction or another. It's not a bug. It's a feature of this program. So that's definitely part of the whole scheme, no doubt. I feel like kind of a broken record talking on your show sometimes, talking about how some of these things that are just chalked up to waste, fraud, and abuse aren't really just waste, fraud, and abuse. That's part of the system.
It's the policy.
Designed that way.
That's correct.
Right.
That's
exactly
what we do.
Right.
That's what we do, and that's what I've done from day one. These are not scandals. These are schematics. You're just looking at the schematic. Right. No scandal, schematic. And this whole idea that this bust-out fraud, Barack Obama, who's good at absolutely nothing, never was. The root of every fracking scandal with his ugly wife, who's been attached to every scandal of clout corruption. Every job Bigfoot had, every job. No one ever replaced her because they were jobs of political power created as a payoff for another under another title. It's a payoff when you hire their wives, like Little Dick Durbin and his portly lobbyist wife. Payoff for Naperville to hire. You paid her off. You bribed her. You cut her in, and you got your welfare cheese. This is why there has to be a movement. And what I love about Trump, I believe he's changing everything. And this SNAP benefit story that seems like it's not real important, and that mean Donald Trump, he's cutting off 150,000 families. We still don't know the real number of people. Families, we still don't know the real number of money that have been sucking off the Illinois, Cook County, Chicago taxpayer for who knows how long.
Yeah, I'll correct you on one thing. Barack Obama did have one skill, and that was getting elected. Yes. And that is another one of these things that's part and parcel of the political class, is that they, especially socialists, they always deride the idea that, money buys politics, and they want to get money out of politics and all of this stuff, this crusade against millionaires and billionaires, unless you're Tom Steyer. But when in reality, they want to get rid of that sort of capital, and they want to replace it with political capital. That's the whole thing. That's the whole truth behind all of this. That's the whole truth. You can take that ideology to the whole Summer of Love and the George Floyd riots and all of that. This is an idea of just trying to marshal political power with these populist schemes. And I've been on your show before, and I made this prediction that the Democrats' response to the Trump-style populism was going to be a socialist version of it. And right now, and I'm looking across the political field here, and as we're ramping up towards midterms and all of that, I feel pretty good with my prediction right now.
And I also feel good that I think they're going to get their asses kicked in everywhere that they haven't managed to steal the character, the dignity, and the elections in the past. And I think this
might be a...
Go ahead.
This might be a very, very, what is it, like a bellwether sort of election, an inflection point election, something like that, because what we're seeing in the Democratic Party right now is a pivot towards that socialist wing of the party. This actually started back, in earnest in 2016 when Bernie Sanders, captured the hearts and minds of all of the youth when he was running against Hillary Clinton back in that primary. And then, the DNC does what they do to, that radical wing of the political party. They undercut him, because they knew that he wasn't going to be able to win in a general election. But what happened since then is a massive growth in sympathy, support for groups like the Democratic Socialists of America. I was actually doing research on this recently, and their membership skyrocketed since 2016. They were a relatively small group for a while with several thousand, members. And then after the Bernie bump in 2016, we saw steady growth in that to the several tens of thousands of members. Then there was a bit of a lull after the Democratic Mafia took him out a second time in 2020. But yes. Then it's peaking again. And what I think is happening is we're seeing that, amongst especially youth, but Democrats, is a growing sympathy and appreciation for socialism. So when I see that story of Barack Obama going and having a little photo op, sing along with Zohran Mamdani in a preschool in the Bronx, to me, that signals that the Democratic Party is now embracing socialism as opposed to just whacking them in the back room like they did with Bernie Sanders a couple.
Yeah, I agree. But here's the blessing in it. Years ago, even so far as 2015, 10 years ago, the failure, the feudalism, the ghetto, and the hopelessness that is created by this philosophy was not so specifically obvious. Now it is. If you want to live in a ghetto, whether it's a Chicago ghetto, a New York ghetto, a Philly ghetto, a Boston ghetto, California ghetto, then vote for these scumbag ghettonomics. Vote for it, because it will deliver a ghetto. And the other side of the coin is, it's never been so obvious how you can either correct it by stopping the fund through federal policy or abandon it by stopping the fund. And this is why, in my opinion, on our side of the things, it always has to be given the perspective of, we don't need you for anything. You need us for everything. And that's the way to go, as far as I'm concerned. The real argument is, there is no excuse now to fund the thieves posing as ideologues. This is not ideology. You're not really a Franken socialist. You don't know what a Marx is. You don't know your ass from your elbow. You just want to steal everybody else's money. And now you've got these states, millionaire tax, billionaire tax. At the same time, they endorse the fracking billionaire. I love it.
It's insane. That story alone is just like the height of hypocrisy and just have a socialist explain the endorsement of our republic. That's the Bernie Sanders group. These are the same people that think that billionaires should not exist, endorsing a billionaire for the gubernatorial race in California. And what's hilarious about it is that if you actually look at their statements, they released a statement justifying this, and they say in it, yeah, Tom Steyer is a billionaire, and that is a big issue for us, but you have to take in these other things to account.
Yeah. What's the same thing here? Same thing here with Pritzker, right? His fat pansy never worked a day in his life. I said if his mother would have gave Henry Lipschitz a lap dance, we'd never know this moron's name. But because she was able to woo a Pritzker, all of a sudden you know his name. He's nothing. He never did anything. He's just bought his position. He buys his loyalty. And the idea that in this country we watch this slob who never made a dollar double everybody's income to show how you build a syndicate, how you build a mafia. It's amazing to watch. And I think this is the silver lining. All you have to do, you want to live like this? Then go ahead. You're a Democrat. Now you put forward the idea. And by the way, my secession movement that I always have believed in, it happened. You've already got how many millions of people said, I'm out? How many millions say, I'm out tomorrow, I'm out next year, I'm out next month? So they're losing whether they admit it or don't, and all we got to do now is figure out how to break the financial ties.
It's rough, and I say that the inflection point, possibility of this upcoming election, because if the left does lean into the socialist, agenda, whatever, getting some more Democratic Socialist candidates in these more notable races and all of that, and it ends up not working, I think that actually has like a better chance of them kind of pulling back to the center politically than just like the failures of the policies themselves. And that might actually seem odd, but politics is all that politicians care about. When it comes to the actual policies failing, you're never going to have your political rivals say, yep, you're right, we should go back to free markets. It's never going to happen. Well, they're just going to double down. No. And we just saw it recently, this budget crisis in New York City, where Zoran is begging for the state to bail out the city because of this budget deficit that he inherited, quote unquote. And it's like, yeah, inherited it from who? Did you inherit it from some Republican, that was slashing taxes? No, of course not. New York City has been a part of the Democratic machine for how long?
Wilhelm Werner. Don't you love that? De Blasio's real name is Wilhelm Werner. That's who you inherited it from. Right. Nazi. And it's funny because it's the progression of failure and corruption and socialism. But I'm telling you, kid, this is what I love about this current climate. It's never been this bold, this obvious. If you choose to live where drug addicts, illegal aliens, cartel members control the mores and the streets, then you're a Democrat. Go ahead. Take a look at it. It's outrageous, the chaos, the failure, the depression, neighborhoods that are full of drug addicts. California is unbelievable. From San Francisco to San Diego, this tranq now is the new fentanyl, the new drug, because Trump shut down so much of the cartel footprint. Now they've mixed it with this tranquilizer for animals. It's called tranq and dope and fentanyl. Mm-hmm. Now they're just zombies. They're all bent over. They look like Kamala Harris on her first month at the office. They bent over kissing their knees. They don't know if it's Tuesday or July. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's wild stuff, and it's kind of a train wreck. Like this story of Zoran Mamdani and the budget crisis, and everyone's pointing and saying, "Look, you elected a socialist. Look what happens." And then their response is, "No, his policies aren't even in place yet. You can't blame this on him." But it's like, do you expect it to get better? Do you expect it to get better? And then I watch, I'm sure that you talked about this on your show, but the Governor Hochul, where they have a clip of her from 2022 basically saying, oh, if you don't like it, get out of here. They got places for you down in Florida. And then they got a clip of her from a month ago saying, hey, all those billionaires and millionaires that went to Florida, maybe you should come back. We need to tax you. Like, we really need some of your money. It's a train wreck.
It reminds me of the first time when I left the Merc. I never worked in the real world. I was down there arguing. I got my guys, all my friends. So when it left, we would meet at a Starbucks in Hinsdale on Sundays. And I'm going to tell you something. And the girls in our neighborhood, the Italian girls, they were beautiful, always. They still are. I never saw anybody with the lip injections and the Botox. I'll never forget when I went to this Hinsdale thing. I said, what's wrong with these broads' faces? They look like mannequins, only they have the duck lips. Every time Hochul comes on, that's exactly what I think of. She's got the Botox. She can't even blink. And then when she does, she's got the Botox. Must have hit a nerve in the left eye. She's off a little bit. The lips are all big. Shut the hell up. It's preposterous to listen to this idiot. First, get away, right? She sounded like the one in what's her name? Katie Wilson in Seattle.
I think the claims that millionaires are going to leave our state are like super overblown, and if the ones that leave, like, bye. So
another one. Only this one's really ugly. See, that's how you know the difference between the true believer Marxist, communist, socialist versus the Democrat. I'll do anything to get elected, like Hochul. The real Marxist, socialist Democrat. They all look like the guy from Rich Man, Poor Man, not Nick Nolte, the other one. They all look like Peter Strauss. Every one of these women look like Peter Strauss, only worse, aging terribly.
Yeah, we're seeing more of them, right? They're, it used to just be Bernie Sanders. It used to just be Bernie Sanders, then AOC. But now you're seeing more of it. There's a lady, I can't think of her name, Analia something or another, that was just elected in New Jersey. Here in Chicago, I was seeing ads for this Kat Uga something or another.
Yeah, she was a stripper.
She lost her election.
Yeah, the stripper.
But you can identify all of these people so quickly by just the propaganda style font that they use in their little pamphlets. or they literally have these red flags, these like socialist red flags in their banners and all of that. You would think that it would just be a red flag for everybody, but they're running with it. They're going in that direction.
And what else is? Go ahead.
Well, at the Heartland Institute, we've been doing the Socialist Watch thing for, I don't know, maybe 8 years. Every midterm or general election, we keep track of all of the candidates that have been specifically endorsed by these socialist groups like the Democratic Socialists of America or Our Republic, and there's like one or two other ones. And I think we got a big year cut out for us this time because I think there's going to be a lot of them, and we're going to be up to our waist in data, trying to make sure that we're keeping track of which ones were successful and which ones weren't.
We had a big victory though with the Elbridge Jerry salamander mandering, the ridiculousness we put up with that for 100+ years. The idea that you could nullify decent people's vote by having political whores draw these ridiculous maps to specifically nullify the vote of the decent in the name of the theft. I think this is a tremendous victory, and that the rewards will continue to pay. But when you look at a day like today in Chicago, the teachers are making $114,000 a year. The citizens who work and are taxed and are losing their property because of property taxes are getting hit with water bills they don't even comprehend, with commas. There are water bills in Chicago with fracking commas, and they tell you, what are you going to do? We're busy. We're drunk. It's ridiculous what's going on. I think we're in the position for a real change. And because, sooner or later they're going to realize it's the Soviet Union. It's better to be a part of the abuser in the government than it is a citizen. And that is undeniable at this point. And I think that is just going to pay dividends. I am predicting, especially after this gerrymandering and they have to stop doing this nonsense, I think they're an infinitesimal, as they've always been, of a society. And if you can nullify them to these little areas they've already destroyed, you can fix everything in the future. I think you could even turn around Illinois as long as we get somebody smart enough to challenge it. The problem is we've got that sling blade Mr. Rogers running for Republican. It's just it's a pickle here, but I think the rest of the country is going to be great.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see all this play out. The fight is to be had. It's right there. We're trying to be in the forefront of it all. But I'll make another prediction. I'll leave off this episode with another prediction. I think, maybe not in the midterms, but maybe ramping up to the next general election, I think that the Democrats' kind of new policy thing that they're all going to rally behind and push for is a universal basic income. I think it's going to be predicated on emerging technology and artificial intelligence, and it'll be a new welfare sort of handout. But universal basic income is going to be the thing that they run with.
Well, Donald, I think it's our job then. It's incumbent upon us to explain just the bastardization and the theft that has already taken place without that. And when I say that, when you look at these kids, these wildings that take over cities in Chicago and New York and the rest of it, just in Chicago, I was thinking about this with this fat pig kid that shot the two cops. What is he, 19, 18, or 21? But there was another one arrested who's 18, right? So they just arrested a second one. He's 18 years old. So that means he just got out of school. Let's pretend he passed. At $33,000 a year, that low-life scum who just may be involved in the shooting of the cops, but all these kids that are going to tear up the city this weekend, it's $396,000 for each one of them to get them just through high school. Right. That's what society pays. $396,000. And you put up with these punks? And if that's your idea of where you want to go in the future, you want to go down that road, then you have to hate yourself if you're going to continue to go down this road, and if you have to be a Democrat. Either that, or you're making $114,000 a year, and you don't have to do anything except bring Kit Kats to school that you didn't pay for. What do you think?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I've always said is that socialism is inherently antithetical to the human condition. So at some point, the reality has to win out, and yes. That's what we see with failed policy. That's what we see with bad incentive structures, and that's what we see in the example that you just laid out there.
Donald Kendal, director of the Heartland's Emerging Issues Center. He is also the host of the In the Tank podcast, Heartland Daily Podcast, Stopping Socialism TV. And I know it's heartland.org, but is that the best place to keep an eye on everything Donald Kendal?
Yeah, heartland.org for sure. And even just Googling my name, following Emerging Issues X on formerly Twitter, all of those things. You can find me if you look hard enough.
Well, I can't thank you enough, and all of the people at Heartland. Really, it's so important what you guys do. So tell everybody I said hello, will you?
Will do. Absolutely.
Thank you, Donald. We'll be back with your calls and comments.
Marxists, socialists, and communists are not welcome on the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Conservative Rick Niemeyer has represented us in Northwest Indiana for many years, and he's notched conservative victories win after win. Niemeyer passed the largest tax cut in Indiana history from right here in Northwest Indiana. And he stood up to protect Indiana farmland from Chinese companies, closed every loophole from foreign ownership to protect our way of life and our food supply. And guess who passed constitutional carry for the whole state of Indiana? It was Rick Niemeyer from Lowell, Indiana. Oh, and he banned biological boys and girls sports, too, standing up for farmers, families, and values. That's why Rick Niemeyer has been endorsed by the Indiana Farm Bureau, the NRA, Indiana Right to Life, and more. Now Niemeyer is fighting the tough issues of today, standing up to NIPSCO and their rate hikes, and protecting farmers' property rights against the land grabs of pipeline companies. Rick Niemeyer, the conservative you can count on for state senate. Paid for by the committee to elect Rick Niemeyer.
312-642-5600. I see the lines are filling up, but I've got good news for you. Now, I guess they call this spring. Squirrel, you got to call me crazy. I should have known the minute they said stuff was going to get warmer, it was going to get colder. It's May. It's 43 degrees. I got 2 shirts on. I don't like wearing one shirt. God wanted me to wear a shirt. He would have made me a Pritzker. But you can kick off summer with a celebration that has been 250 years in the making. Kid Rock is coming to Tinley Park for his Freedom 250 tour on Saturday, May 16th. Hopefully by then, you won't need a turtleneck. Happening May 16th at Credit One Amphitheater with special guest Peter McCullum. For your chance to win, which means free, not socialist, communist free, we pay for it. For your chance to win a pair of tickets, you have to go to 560theanswer.com, keyword rock. 560theanswer.com, keyword rock. I'll be watching it with my shirt off from Florida, hopefully. 312-642-5600. I'll take your calls and comments after Mike's got it.
Thanks, Shaun. Good afternoon. We're headed for an overnight low of around 35 with a frost advisory for the Chicagoland area. In the QC Kinetics newsroom, President Trump now weighing next moves